Okay, so this theory might be a little weird, but ever since I rewatched the original trilogy a few years ago, I've had the headcanon that Yoda was either dead and interacting with Luke as a Force ghost, or Luke was just flat out crazy. Either would work, because Luke had recently gone through enormous amounts of stress and psychological damage, so he could have easily snapped, but considering that episodes 7 and 8 are canon now, it seems more likely to me that the Force ghost option is the most plausible. Think about it. No one but Luke ever speaks to Yoda between episodes 5 and 8. And after watching The Last Jedi, it's not impossible to think that Yoda might have been a Force ghost the entire time. If I were to guess, I'd say the living Yoda did escape to Dagobah, then died waiting for the prodigal son to return. But being a team player for the Jedi, Yoda didn't quit and he kept his Force ghost around until he could train the next generation of Jedi. And I know Yoda doesn't have the blue light that's typical of a Force ghost, but neither does Luke when he goes to face off against the First Order. Okay, so Luke wasn't dead when he projected himself across the galaxy to fight Kylo Ren, or was he? You guys, if Star Wars is poetry that mirrors itself, as George Lucas once said, then this thought process on Yoda gives me reason to believe that Luke was already dead when he interacted with Rey. Now hear me out. Luke is secluded on this small island that shows no signs of growing vegetation. I mean, sure, Luke can fish from the body of water around him, but a man cannot live on fish alone. You need fruits and vegetables and wheat too. Even the local caretakers show no signs of noticing Luke, only Rey. It's almost like Luke is haunting the place. Yoda even shows up and basically says, "Time to move on, it is, Skywalker," by burning the Jedi texts. And those texts were something that Luke felt very bound to protect as the last, quote, Jedi. And just listen to his own words.
He must have thought I was dead. When I came to, the temple was burning. He had vanished with a handful of my students.
Okay, so that's a fair guess based on Luke's perspective, but what about Ben's? Are you telling me that that was the defining moment where Ben Solo became Kylo Ren, and he took the time to burn down the Jedi Temple, but he didn't bother checking to see if his uncle was dead? If someone just tried to kill me, that's the first thing I would check for! Especially if I wasn't running away that instant, because I wouldn't want some homicidal maniac to wake up in the middle of me burning his temple down to try and kill me again. It just doesn't make sense, because Ben burnt down the temple as a way to end the Jedi Order once and for all. Ben even took his friends and killed those who wouldn't follow him so that no Jedis would be left alive. So I think Ben really did kill Luke. Maybe not on purpose, but as a knee-jerk defensive reaction. Also notice that when Rey starts her training, she talks about not sensing Luke, and they try to cover that by saying he closed himself off from the Force, but is that a thing? How can you shut yourself off from the energy that connects every living thing in the universe? Oh, well, that would be kind of easy if you were dead and trying to stop yourself from moving on. Even in The Force Awakens, Leia is searching for a map to Luke because she cannot find or sense her brother, and she didn't check the places that were most important or sacred to Jedi? And just look what happens after Luke does reconnect with the Force. He manages to hang on, but only long enough to interact with Kylo Ren. Then he vanishes. Why? How? Luke hadn't really been fighting, so he didn't really get injured, and the Resistance is going to desperately need his help moving forward, so why would Luke pick that moment to ghost himself? Well, if Luke was already dead and existing as a Force ghost at that point, or maybe even a non-Force ghost since he was supposedly shut off from the Force, then it would make some sense that the minute Luke stopped concentrating on existing and felt at peace, he became one with the Force. His time had been long since over, and he just couldn't fight it anymore. Not to mention, Luke gives us the old line, "If you strike me down in anger, something, something, something." But Ben didn't do that. He originally attacked his uncle in self-defense, and his actions actions were survival based, not motivated by hatred or anger. I mean, it was fear, and fear is the first step to the dark side, not the last. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And even when Kylo tried to attack Luke towards the end, he did so more as a way to free himself from his abusers. Yeah, I know that sounds nuts because we see Luke, Leia, and Han as the heroes, but to Ben, his parents threw him away as a teeny tiny boy because Jedi start training almost as soon as they're out of diapers, and his uncle tried to kill him, so they really are legit uncaring villains from Ben's perspective. And Ben letting go of his hatred of Luke may have also helped Luke move on. It's a bit unclear why that happened, but again, a long-term Force ghost retiring from the land of the living seems most plausible to me. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have 2 other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.